Bethan is responding to Naya. Naya says, interesting to me, PIC is the largest number of study permit holders in Canada by country of citizenship, permitted entry in 2023 alone. India wins by an insane amount. So Ukraine got 6,000, Morocco 7,000, Ghana 7,500, United States got 7,700, Japan got 7,800, Hong Kong got 7,800, Algeria got 9,300, Bangladesh 9,500, Brazil 10,000, Colombia 10,000, Korea 10,000, Vietnam 10,000, Mexico 11,000, Iran 14,000, France 15,000, Nepal 15,000, Philippines 33,000, Nigeria 37,000, China 58,000, India 278,000. Things that concern me about this list: Hong Kong, China, right? There's Mexico, Iran, the number of Indians, the number of all of them. It's incredible. And not to say that you can't find great people to immigrate into the country, but when you're trying to wholesale replace the population of the country with immigrants, that's bad. People don't like that. Isn't that genocide? Isn't it? I think it is. So why are we allowing it to happen? And I forgot that somebody was responding to this. Bethan says at least 682,000 foreign students are here in Canada. Why such an absurd imbalance of Indian students? Weird, right? It's a strange anomaly. Here is also what's going on with Indian people in Calgary. And Melissa says, Kill India slogans raised at the Khalastani event today. Calgary City Hall. Is this true? So pretty wild. Here's the Khalastani. So there you go. This is happening in Canada. It's not good, right? That's not a good thing that's happening. It's not a good look for Canada. People don't like that. I don't like that. It seems bad, right? Mocha says, or Bruce is using Mocha's footage, and he says, why is this happening in Calgary, Canada? Pandora's box is open wide. Do we want the CCP holding referendums in China on whether Vancouver Island and the Lower Mainland should be part of China? A non-binding referendum on the creation of Khalistan proposed independent Sikh state, or a proposed independent Sikh state. And Mocha says, kill India slogans. That's what we just watched. So pretty crazy stuff, right? And Canadians on the world stage are painted with this because we're allowing our government to allow this to happen. We have an Indian, Jody Gondik, and she's British Pakistani, I think. She was born in the United Kingdom, came here. And we've got another Indian who is a Khalistani separatist who spent jail time in India for being a Khalistani separatist as the mayor of Edmonton. Seriously? Yeah, what? We have Jinnah Park, right? Out west as well. I think that is in Alberta, but I could be wrong about that. It might be Manitoba. But isn't that crazy town? Why do we have parks that memorialize people who started a bombing campaign against India? Jinnah Park, right? It's incredible. Riley says, Premier David Eby says the unprecedented population inflows into BC are completely overwhelming. So he says to add a new city of 180,000 people every year to our province is not sustainable. Our schools are full. We're unable to keep up with housing starts. So sure, I've already got this open. Sure, that's true. But when you hear him talk about this, he says, it's super exciting to have all these new people here and it's great and we have to do it and blah, 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 which is utter, complete nonsense. It's nonsense. Here we go.
Well, one of the pieces that I've tried to underline for both the federal government and around the table is in British Columbia, we're seeing unprecedented population inflows from immigration generally from a number of different categories and temporary residents as well as more traditional streams of immigration as well as asylum seekers. So we're talking about well in excess of 10,000 people a month. Our most recent total for last year was 180,000 new British Columbians, and that's great.
They're not new British Columbians. They're invaders. There are people who are coming here illegally. There are people who are being brought here in ways that wouldn't have passed muster in years prior, right? So here's where he says it's great. It's not great. We can't do anything with them other than throw money at them. It doesn't do anything for the province at all. It doesn't do anything for anybody. It's terrible.
And that's exciting and it's necessary and it's completely overwhelming.
It's exciting and it's necessary and I never want to do it again.
To add a new city of 180,000 people every year to our province is not sustainable. Our schools are full. We are unable to keep up with housing starts, despite significant and record-setting rental housing and housing for purchase starts. And so in the communique, and one of the things we've been talking about around the table is how do we link up our immigration targets and the federal government's immigration work with the reality on the ground of what we have capacity for.
They don't care. They don't care. I'm getting mixed messages, though. On one side, he's saying we can't, 180,000 people, oh, that's really crazy. And it's super exciting and really good and blah, 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 blah. But, you know, we have to tell the federal government we can't do this. Mixed messages. It's a little weird, right? Who wrote this speech? And the government knows. The federal government absolutely knows. That's the plan. They want to overwhelm the country so it collapses so they can rescue us with their central bank digital currency. You're welcome, citizen. Like that's, it seems obvious to me. D.D. Denslow is sharing Neil Oliver's stuff, and he says it's a war on humanity. It's children of men. It isn't depopulation or population decline. It's a managed extinction. And I've said before that it feels like we're being held underwater, right? You're not allowed to grow. You're not allowed, you're not, when you hold somebody underwater, they're going to die in a short period of time. And I don't think it's going to be like minutes, but I think that we're going to have a shortened period of time artificially. Does that make sense? So like what normally the course of my life, I would probably live to 2180 if I lived to 100 years or 99 years or whatever it is, right? So like somewhere around, 20 or what are we at? 21? Did I say 21? Hold on. 2070, 2080, right? Whereas I think they're trying for society to be so terrible that my life might not go past 2045, right? And a whole lot of other people too, if they get their druthers. So it feels like a managed decline, and the managed decline is so slow, and they're going to try and say, oh, it's disease, it's war, it's famine, it's this, it's all sorts of things that are out of our control, but they're not out of our control. They are in our control. We managed them properly for years, and now these communists have shown up and they're trying to hold us underwater. So to artificially shorten the length of our lives. And I think other people feel it too. Otherwise, yeah, there is a communal feeling about this. And I don't think I'm by myself. I think a lot of people feel it, but we don't know who, and we don't know how to stop it. And like, that's not good because we have all this energy and nowhere to direct it. Anyway, here's the Coast guy. We'll listen to a minute. It's a 6-minute video. Link should be in the description. Keep telling me if it's not. I'm busy. Summertime is different because as soon as I'm done my video and everything starts getting uploaded, I start being pulled in like 6 or 7 other directions. So I have things to help with, people to put in motion, people to drive places, people to make sure they're okay, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'll get back as soon as I can to upload the comments or the links. But sorry, I do my best. Okay, here's the Coast guy. He doesn't put up links.
Thanks, Aaron. There's a war on humanity, a war against the people waged by predators and philanthropaths, aided by poodles in government and the establishment. The declared aim of the war is to force all of us to accept less. At what point did we abandon the notion of hopes and dreams, the desirability of abundance, of plenty? The message from on high used to be about going forth, being fruitful and multiplying. The more the merrier, we were told. The desire was for abundance, including an abundance of people, but not anymore. If you don't hate people, then you might see that more people in the world means more good ideas, more problem-solving potential. If you combine copper and tin, just 2 elements, you get bronze and a harder edge. If you combine 4 elements, or 10, the potential comes in numbers with more zeros than a person might count. Limitless potential. It's the same with people and good ideas. But for a long time, the message from above has been that humanity is a mistake by Mother Earth, that we are a plague she would do better without. Transhumanism is more of the same, the notion that humanity is not good enough and hopeless without an upgrade made of merging flesh with technology.
And I think we've been driven away from a higher kind of state of being, and we're being purposely limited in different ways so that we are more easily controlled. Here is a cruel update, moving on from the Jasper fire. I say it's cruel because one of the things she says is a lot of people will have their worst fears confirmed later this morning. What a thing to say. Like, oh, what a crazy, cruel thing to say to people. I don't know why she would say such a thing, but anyway, here, I mean, obviously, yes, there's damage, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, but saying something like that is awful. Here we go.
Good afternoon. My name's Christine Nadeau. I am the incident commander for the municipality of Jasper on the Jasper complex wildfire. Mayor Ireland is unable to join us today and sends his regrets. As you can understand, he is taking some much needed time to be with his family. We understand that residents and business owners have been anxiously waiting to receive more information on the state of their homes and businesses. At this time, it is not possible for residents to return to Jasper, to view their property or collect their belongings. The town site is not safe. We are still very early in our recovery process. The chemicals released by structural fire are a serious risk to health. There is still an active wildfire on the perimeter of town. Firefighters and first responders need space to do their job safely. This remains an evolving emergency situation. We recognize that this is a traumatic and stressful time for Jasper residents. Many of you will have your worst fears officially confirmed today. You do not have to go through this alone. Support is available and we encourage you to reach out for help. It's hard to believe that it's only been 2 days since the fire entered the town of Jasper. As residents, we are still coming to terms with what has happened. We will all need time to grieve our losses. But remember that we are a strong community and Jasper will recover from this wildfire. Reach out to your friends.
Incredible, and a complete failure by the Trudeau government. What an awful thing to let happen. And it's not climate change. It wasn't anything like that. It was inaction on the part of the Trudeau government. What absolute criminals, just every level criminals. This is interesting just because Geert was a lot of people, everybody liked him. And now he says the Islamo-fascist Erdogan is threatening to invade Israel. This guy is completely crazy. Turkey should be kicked out of NATO. Huh. And open source intel says, wow, Turkish President Erdogan, we can enter Israel just as we did in Karabuka and Libya. So it's interesting. I don't know. The war drums seem to be sounding. The lines seem to be being drawn in the Middle East, in Lebanon, Hezbollah, controlled or supported areas, Israel, northern parts, Gaza, all of that kind of stuff. All of that kind of stuff seems to be swirling around. This woman, again, this is 3 minutes. She's saying that they're going to use the climate stuff. And this is kind of going back to the Jasper fire. But this is all part and parcel of a land grab. It's stealing land from people, from taxpayers. And she's saying that they don't even need to have the fire. They're just going to create a situation where your property's on a ledger. And to maintain your ownership of that property, you have to pay money to the people who maintain the ledger, the digital ledger. And if you don't, then the property falls into the ledger's hands, government's hands, and it can be done with what they want. And it doesn't matter if you own it. Ha, not in a post-national New World Order.
It never ends. It never ends with these criminal, greedy liars. These guys using climate modeling by AI, of course, they can hide behind AI, to steal away what is ours for them. So in basic terms, let's take, for example, your home, your land, whether it's paid off or mortgaged, right? You believe it's yours. So what they've come up with is a scheme called monetize the asset. And all of this climate crap plays into it. And the way they monetize your asset is, one, cancel all title deeds that give you the same rights and privileges as the Crown had when they sold you the land. That's already been done. 100% of Australians have had their title deeds, their parchment title deeds that give them rights on their own land, stamped with destroyed by this Labour government. None of you have a title deed, rich or poor. No, you have a digital lot number with your name next to it. If that gets a climate lien or a native title lien, you can't do anything with it. If you don't get digital ID, you can't even sell it, right? And the way they monetize the asset, your asset and you, is to charge you monthly fees for the holding of that digital lot number next to your name. And if you don't pay the monthly fees, you no longer own it.
Okay, so there's all sorts of carrots and sticks and justifications, and all of it swirls around to an open air prison that we are being forced into. Here is Tommy Robinson, and he has been arrested in the United Kingdom for screening a movie. And Katie says, Tommy Robinson arrested and detained under the Terrorism Act 2000. His crime, screening a factual documentary to a crowd assembled by their own free will in Trafalgar Square. Do not be disheartened. The powerful are afraid. Tommy is not. Hold the line. So there you go. It's very interesting. The Mirror is coming up with this. Far-right thug Tommy Robinson arrested under anti-terror laws after London protest film shown. And he's out now, apparently. So he was arrested and 6 hours in, and then he's got out. And Tommy Robinson in mid-post says, I can now confirm that Tommy has actually been released. He's out on bail, and the police have taken his phone. I want to thank everyone, as does Tommy, who've been out protesting for him today. It absolutely made a difference. Tommy has asked me to upload the conversation he had with his ex-wife while he was detained for terror-related offenses. We will be able to update you all tomorrow. So here is that. It's 11 minutes long. I'm not going to play any of it because it's kind of muffled and like it's difficult to hear. There's parts that are difficult to hear. Because it's a phone call conversation, and he's not that he has a thick accent, but the accent's enough that I had to listen to a couple of things more than once. And again, Tommy Robinson had been post. Read more about what happened to Tommy in his own words. We've transcribed, not exactly, but enough for you to understand what's happened to him today in his own words, using a conversation that he had with his wife while being detained for terrorism offenses. So if you don't want to listen, the link is here, and the link should be in the description. Try my best. Here is RFK Jr. And again, he's at the same Bitcoin conference, and he says, this was supposed to go in money, but I didn't have a money section today. So this went just before Venezuela. So he says, U.S. presidential candidate Robert Kennedy Jr. says, I understand that tomorrow President Trump, that's today, President Trump may announce his plan to authorize the U.S. government to buy 1 million Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset. And I applaud that announcement. That'd be interesting. That'd be an interesting, like the U.S. government has entered the market. So how does that go? Right. So we'll see. And there have been people calling on Kennedy to endorse Trump, to drop out of the race and endorse Trump. I don't know that that's going to happen. He seems pretty committed to the whole thing. The Democrats are, it's just a mess. Mess. We'll see how that all plays out as well. Last section for today is CTV News and the Paris Olympics. They say Paris Olympics organizers say they meant no disrespect with the Last Supper. This was not where this is supposed to be. This is supposed to be the Venezuela news. That was supposed to be during the Olympics section. So apologies about that. I messed that up. Carrying on. Voting centers around Venezuela. Let's talk about actually Venezuela now. Voting centers across Venezuela, the Venezuelan state of Carabobo, are being illegally closed early to prevent thousands of Venezuelans from voting for the leading opposition candidate. Weird, right? I saw that midday yesterday and I thought, that's not so good. And then here's Liz Churchill, and she says, good riddance, Maduro, you're out. Venezuelans celebrate the victory of Edmundo Gonzalez, who's not the guy that Pierre Poilievre endorsed yesterday either. He endorsed some woman. I don't know who this Eduardo guy is, but everybody seems excited about him. So, sorry, that was too loud. We'll try again. Quieter this time. So Venezuela's happy. Maybe they're going to get affordable food again. Yay. End wokeness says exit polls, Edison Research, Wall Street Journal. So, I don't know. The Wall Street Journal is doing exit polls in the Venezuelan election. Do we believe them? Okay. Opposition leader Gonzalez, 65%. Socialist dictator Maduro, 31%. Results from the election council, Maduro, 51%. Opposition leader Gonzalez, 44%. No leader or media organization should legitimize this fake election in any way. This was stolen from the people. I have questions. Now, I'm not saying Maduro's a good guy, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying the Wall Street Journal's polls and exit polls, I wouldn't believe that just because it seems like Maduro's a bad guy and this Gonzalez guy is a good guy, and it seems like we saw a bunch of people celebrating. That would be easily fabricated if you wanted to fabricate something. So, to be honest with you, I have no idea who the good guy is and who the bad guy is. Maduro doesn't seem like a good guy because he seems like he's starving his people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and using a communist dictatorship with authoritarian trimmings to crush his people while he gets rich at the top, right? Like, it seems like that to me, but I'm in Canada and I have no way to verify that. That's what the media and everybody's telling me. And the Wall Street Journal says he lost that election because he's a mean, bad guy, right? But I remember what they said about Saddam Hussein, and I remember what they said about Gaddafi, right? And I remember what they said about a whole bunch of other people who I've since found out maybe not so true, right? So, the Wall Street Journal should probably shut up and focus on their own rigged elections? Like, honestly, and I just don't know. This could be 100% right. And it could be that Gonzalez is, honestly, genuinely somebody who's not associated with the evil monsters and the Committee of 300 and all the rest of it. It could be that he is a genuine guy who just wants to give the citizens back their country. Could be, right? We've seen a couple of people who seem like that, Malay and El Salvador and Argentina. Like we've seen these places happen. We've seen these things coalesce. We've seen people get sick and tired and throw out their communist government. So this is plausible. It's absolutely plausible, but I don't know. And so I don't want to tell you this is 100% right, because who knows? I certainly don't know. I have no idea. But this is what they're saying. And like, remember Guaido? Remember Juan Guaido? I talked about him yesterday. The West was saying, Maduro is terrible. Guaido is way better. Are we the baddies? Are the G7 the baddies? I think maybe we're the baddies. We're not above board, right? Like we're the West. Collectively, the media in the West, the governments of the West, do things that they wouldn't tolerate being done to them. Do things to other people that they wouldn't tolerate the reverse, right? And we sit back and we're like, yeah, freedom, baby. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so. I got a question or 10, right? So like, it is concerning, and people won't question it. They'll say, here's the story: Maduro bad, Gonzalo good. No more communist dictatorship. Sure, Venezuela has to give their oil to everybody else and socialize it and make sure that it stays in the ground, and because climate change and blah, 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 blah. But, at least they're free and they can eat bugs, right? I'm just like, oh man, we lost this one, guys. You don't see this? So I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see, I guess. George says, breaking: Argentina President Malay has issued a statement confirming that Venezuela's socialist president Nicolas Maduro has lost and that Argentina will not recognize another fraudulent election. So Venezuela holds an election. Wall Street Journal says this other guy won. Argentina says this other guy won. Maduro says this is what my election guy. This is what it says to me. And so the rest of the world is interfering in this. Would the United States tolerate this? Canada does tolerate this. Canada's like, China, what's up? We need some election funding. We need some election funding. I heard you guys are really good people and you give loans at good rates. All we have to do is sign some bills or something like that. Money, please. So, right? Like it stinks to high heaven, and everybody's super happy about it, right? Celebrating. Yay, the bad guy's out. I don't know. I think we're being manipulated. I think we should take a step or take a beat and like think about this. But there's no beat to be taken, right? Like there's going to be a war, or Maduro's going to leave, or Maduro's going to be killed, or we'll see, right? Argentina is not going to recognize another fraud and hopes that the armed forces this time will defend democracy and the popular will. Seems like a coup. George says Nicolas Maduro's campaign manager just went on national TV to declare victory despite every exit poll, Wall Street Journal exit poll, showing a historic loss for their socialist regime. They are setting up to commit a bigger election theft than the 2020 election in the United States. Maybe true, but maybe it's the other way. Maybe we're not understanding who's stealing which election for what, right? George again says election workers at the tabulation center of Venezuela just accidentally posted a picture of election results across various states showing a historic defeat of the socialist president Maduro. This makes it impossible for Maduro to steal the election. You can see pie charts of the workers' screen with the opposition blue destroying Maduro in red. Is it real? Is it fake? Could you manipulate that? Probably, right? I don't know. I don't know if it's real or fake. And I don't know which one is the good guy or the bad guy. Please, I'll leave that to you. But it's certainly a different story one way than it is the other way. One way, the good guys win, the socialists are cast out, the communists have lost, and the good guys are back, and democracy is winning with Gonzalo. Gonzalo? What was this? Or Maduro is getting pushed out. Gonzalo's a globalist Committee of 300 member, and he's ready to give the citizens their bugs and also steal their oil. Right? It just hits a little different. And Maduro's not a good guy. I'm not saying he's a good guy. I'm just saying there's more than meets the eye here. George again, Venezuela President Maduro has called members of the military, police, and armed socialist media. The armed socialist militias to the vicinity of Miraflores, the presidential residence, to guard him. It appears Maduro is preparing to overturn the votes of the people and stay in power. Pray for Venezuela. So, conflict. Will Maduro do what the West wants, or who knows? is it the popular will of the people that Maduro be replaced? If it is, will the popular will win out? Or is this a coup using the people to make it look like that's their popular will? And will that get Maduro out? Or will Maduro stay regardless of the will of the people? And then it'll just go, all of this will just go away like Guido? I don't know. I really don't know. The whole thing is, again, like a washing machine, and it's meant to be confusing, I think. And I don't think that we're being told the whole story. So take that for what it is. Pending. This story is definitely not over. Lots more to come on this. And I feel like this is the model, one of the models, because when you take people down to a situation where they're fleeing the country and starving, they'll accept crickets. They'll accept cricket flour. They'll accept stability. They'll accept somebody who wants to take their oil for your safety comrade. They'll accept it, right? You bring order from chaos. Maybe that's what we're watching right now. That's enough out of me. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for your support. Have a wonderful, wonderful